The thing about a wildfire, they can appear in what feels like an instant. And if the wind changes, how long do you have to get out?
You're gonna be okay, hi? You're gonna be okay.
The two men and dog in this footage left it to the very last minute to flee to safety.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro.
Same blaze, different neighborhood. Just when is it time to leave everything behind to the inferno? Cinders rain from the sky in escape scenes that could have been conjured by Hollywood.
Oh my God. Get in the car.
Daybreak in the City of Angels and a visitation of hell.
This is a tragic time in our history here in Los Angeles, but a time where we're really tested and see who we really are. And it's critical that at these times we be patient, that we come together, that we focus on saving lives.
Through the night, the huge Palisades fire barreled along the exclusive Malibu coast. Authorities declaring a state of emergency, predicting the worst is yet to come.
Oh, that's horrible.
Across the county, tens of thousands have been told, evacuate now. The other side of LA, near the growing Eaton wildfire, which is known to have already killed 2 care home patients wheeled out in the nick of time.
Basically, the fire started coming from down the mountain. We noticed it moving pretty quickly, so we did start evacuating everybody. I was running up to the 3rd story, 2nd story, carrying people down, just picking them up, because we do have a lot of wheelchair people in here.
Wildfires in California have got much more severe over the past 3 decades. Data from 1990 shows a clear trend. The number of acres burned every year is on the up. 2020 and 21 were particularly bad. And the annual number of large wildfires, over 10,000 acres, is rocketing too. What's causing this? Rising temperatures and unreliable rains. Much of California's in drought. It doesn't take much for a spark to turn into a firestorm, fanned by savage so-called Santa Ana winds, sucked down from the desert through LA's canyons towards the coast.
This looks like a movie set. Unfortunately, this is real. LA County Fire, they have to do what they have to do.
And in the confusion of an evacuation, anything goes. Bulldozers clearing cars junked in panic. California's Governor Gavin Newsom says there's no longer a wildfire season, it's year-round. While incoming President Trump attempted to turn this into a political argument in a social media post referring to the governor as news scum and writing, he is the blame for this. The real-world implications of climate breakdown. For the millions of Americans living in fire zones, more risk. Nurse Nancy Levin Guzman sneaking against the evacuation order to help her elderly parents, who, guess what, recently had their fire insurance revoked.
They're 90 years old. They've lived in this house for 75 years, and they've had the same insurance, and these insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
It is now late morning in America's second city. The wind is still blowing, and the fires, according to emergency services, are, quote, 0% contained.
Well, earlier I spoke to David Acuna, Battalion Chief with the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, and I began by asking for his assessment of what's happening with the fires now.
The entire Southern California region is actually under a red flag warning, upgraded to a PDS, or a particularly dangerous situation.
And the current statement has been that there's no possibility of bringing these fires under control. Just spell out to us what that means.
Well, you know, a hose line is not really going to be very effective against a wind that's blowing 100 miles per hour. So what we do instead is we remove all the people out of the way. We certainly want to protect homes as best as we can, but we have to focus on removing the people out of in front of the fire, which is why we issue evacuation warnings and evacuation orders.
Are people going willingly? They're having to leave all their homes and their possessions, aren't they?
It is a common issue for people to stay behind, hoping to protect their homes. And while I certainly understand their concern for their property, what happens is then we are forced to move people from the firefighting priority to the life safety priority, which of course is the most important.
So tell us then what you're witnessing in terms of how this fire is behaving and the sort of terrible scene that is confronting you and your officers.
So it absolutely is being blown by the wind, the north wind blowing it directly into these canyons. And then the canyons themselves, the topography moving up and down, causes the winds to move in an unusual manner, and that is just completely unpredictable.
Have you yourself seen anything like this before?
You know, it's not unusual to have fires like this in the late summer, early fall in Southern California. What's unusual is that we have these fires in January. That is a very, very unusual situation, and we are surprised that it happened.
It's rained barely at all for months, hasn't it?
In the Southern California area, that's correct. There's been just a scant amount of rain, not enough to wet the fuels that are on the ground. And then on top of that, we have the extreme heat we've been having over the last several years caused by climate change, and then the fact that we didn't have a whole lot of fires in 2022 and 2023, which led to more fuel being on the ground.
You mentioned climate change, and you know there is political doubt sometimes cast on that. But from your experience, what you're witnessing, are you in no doubt that the heating climate makes these kind of fires more severe and more frequent?
Well, there is no doubt that from 2017 to now, we've seen an incredible increase in the number of fires, the amount of acres burned, all of these things leading to a significant change that has occurred. And the fact that we're getting unusual weather patterns, like in 2023, when we had the typhoon run right up California, all this is unusual.
So what would be your message then to your incoming president, who has made some quite interesting statements on climate change? Would you like Donald Trump to come and see for himself what you're dealing with?
You know, I'm lucky that we have already seen that our state governor has provided a state of emergency, applied for a federal, fire management assistance grant. So all of those things are benefits to the local community who are suffering right now.
And how long do you think California is going to burn for now?
Well, these winds are expected to last until Friday. And then after that, we're hoping to see some relief. Long-term projections may change, but that's up to the National Weather Service to determine.
David Acuna, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, let's get the latest from CNN correspondent Julia Vargas-Jones, who joins us live from Los Angeles. Julia, extraordinary and terrifying scenes just behind you. Can you convey to us what you've witnessed today, to the sense of enormity of what's happening there?
Yeah, Kathy, look, it's apocalyptical. Even we are now in the city of Altadena, that's just east of Los Angeles, at the foothills of the Angeles National Forest. But we're about 15, 20 blocks from the edge of the woods here. This is not a wildfire, Kathy. This is an urban fire. This is actually engulfing people's homes. You can see right behind me. I'm actually going to step away because this is getting quite out of hand here. Kathy, this is what we've seen. Both sides of the streets. The fire is crossing over highways. It's crossing over streets, engulfing everything along the way. And the unfairness of it all is that some houses seem to be just fine and some have a fate like this one, what you're seeing on your screen right now. And we hear the crackling and the explosion of all these materials and gas tanks inside tires, people's entire lives. We have folks around here who are they were looking for their dog. They're trying to get into their homes to see what is left there. But authorities at this point, as the fire has exploded to almost 10,600 acres just overnight, they're saying, look, it's not worth it. We want to preserve lives. 2 people have already died in this fire, and they're saying it's not worth it. Go to safety. Don't try to save your property. Don't be a hero, but we have seen so many people helping each other, Kathy. We spoke to people who came back to their homes and saw volunteers dousing them in water from their own hoses, trying to save it if possible. Look, it is undescribable. The smell of smoke, you can smell the toxic particles in the air. You can see this orange sun. It feels like we are in an inferno, Kathy.
Well, Julia, I must let you and your team get to safety, but Julia Vargas Jones, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.